Time to fire your customers. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. I don't mean all your customers, but you do need to fire some of your customers, more than likely. In fact, one of the things when I come in and I end up working with companies, one of the first things we do is we identify who the best customers are, and we identify who the worst customers are. And we do everything in our power to get rid of the worst customers. And we give them a chance. We let them leave nicely, or we give them a chance to become better customers. But you can't act like it isn't a two-way street. And I think so much of the issues now, even in society, and I don't just mean the United States where I reside here, we're here in Southern Oregon. I don't just mean here, I mean around the world. Only I think in America, in North America, United States of America, I should say, it's more obvious, right? It's more clear cut because there's been such a huge difference between both sides, both different ways of the world has changed so much in such a short period of time that there's a big thing going on, and it comes back. I'm going to bring this back around to your business and your customers, but it comes from thinking that we're all owed something and that our side is better than their side, and oftentimes this happens in business all the time. It's the employers owe something to the employees owe something to the employers, the customers. Very rarely do people think that the customers owe the person that is selling the item, but it's a two-way street. If you're selling it, you have the ability to make a price and define the quality, and then the customer can pay that or not pay that, but it's a two-way street. It's not, one is not better than the other. One is not more powerful than the other. It takes two to make the engagement happen, and way too often we keep acting like one side has power over the other. They only have power in the sense that one side may have more power over one resource or another, but that doesn't mean they actually have power, because that side wants something from the other side, and they either get it or they don't get it. And if they don't get it, they can go and get the same thing somewhere else. So don't fall for it yourself. As a business owner or an executive of a business, you should not fall for the idea that the customer, because they're a customer, are somehow better than you. They're a human being, they want something, and hopefully you have something that they want, so that they're willing to exchange their money for what you have. I know this is just basic 101 economics, but it's the thing that most of us miss, and we fall for all of the jealousy and envy and all these things that occur in society nowadays that try and pit us against each other. If you just see people for being people, regardless of all the other entanglements, all the other physical features and everything else that we get wrapped up in, if you just see a person for being a person, and that includes seeing yourself on a level. You don't have to put yourself down to bring someone else up, and you don't have to put yourself down in order to make yourself feel better, right? And I think a lot of times we get into a place where we think, well, because we're privileged or because we're this or because we're that we need to hold ourselves back and push everybody else up. Where in reality, if you follow the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you, then everything tends to work out in the best. Because it's truly a universal concept. So it doesn't just mean you should be super nice to everyone and give everyone everything in hopes that they're going to give you everything back. That's not the idea. It's more of be level with everybody. Just be easygoing and level with everybody. Don't be too nice and don't be too mean. Sometimes a little bit of tough love goes a long way. And sometimes you can be straightforward with someone and you're being just as kind to them as if you were being, it's that whole idea. If you've ever known anybody, had anyone close to you that was dealing with an addiction issue, Okay. What do they call it when you don't stand up to them, when you don't show them that you disagree and you try to comfort them in their issue? It's called enablement. You're enabling them to continue living wrong, to continue ruining their life and the lives of those around them. That's not a good thing. And a lot of times we enable, and I hate to take such a outrageous situation like addiction and tie it back, but it's the same thing in the sense that we all have our foibles and we all have periods of time when we're not at our best. And it'd be better if everybody was straightforward with us and didn't give in to us, right? Same thing with your customers. You can't give in to a bad attitude. You can't give in when they're asking for something, when they're asking for more than they paid for. You can offer them more than what they paid for, but you can't give in because they demand it. Okay? Everyone ought to treat each other with a certain amount of humanity. And you've got customers that if you allow them to, they will treat you like dirt. And not only will they treat you like dirt, they'll treat everybody like dirt if you put up with it. And you're just creating a worse situation for you, because you end up hating them, you end up hating your business, you end up hating your co-workers and everybody around you. And then they go on and they continue on. You're enabling that behavior to go on throughout their life. Where it'd be better if you just say, hey, don't do that. You want to do that, you can't do it here. You can't act that way here. You can't treat my employees like that. You can't treat my coworkers, my partners like that. You're not allowed to. We don't want your money here. Take it elsewhere. It's voluntary. It's a two-way street. And you need to start looking at people and not look at down at people either on the other end. A lot of people that get into business, they look down on people as just, another dollar bill walking through the door. You got to see them as a human being. And expect them to come with their best, and then you bring your best to them. I know this is really this is all over the place, ethereal, but it's a principle that isn't followed enough. And all of our lives can be so much better if we just expect the best from each other. And at the same time, we hold ourselves to a better, higher standard, especially when it comes to business, because business is nothing more than just people exchanging ideas, concepts, products, services, back and forth in exchange for something of greater or lesser value, equal value, something. And value is it's a very subjective term, but we'll talk about that another time. This was just a general idea. I'd like to talk about this some more. Have you had the situation where you've had customers and clients that you absolutely hate or that refuse to get along with you? Time to fire them. Time to get rid of them. And there's a lot more people out there that want what you have. So I've got other strategies all in my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. You can go check that out at amazonproofbook.com. You get your own free copy right away. You can go download it right now. It doesn't take me having to approve it. You can get it right in your hands. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you get out there and let the magic happen.